Hello everybody, this is Jeremy again for another talk. I haven't done a talk in a while. Lots of reviews, lots of other odds and ends stuff, apartment tour, all that sort of weird stuff. But I haven't really just sat down and talked to you about something for a while. And I didn't feel like I really had that many great topics. I had a few, jumbled around in my brain going back and forth. But now that the new Power Rangers movie has come out, there's something I really want to talk to you guys about. And if you've watched any of my past videos, you kind of know where I'm going with this. So I could just talk about the movie. I really could. But we already recorded a podcast for that, for No Pink Spandex, which is not out yet, but it's probably going to be broken up into multiple parts. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to present it to you. But we discussed the movie in depth, really scene for scene. So there is a lot there for you as far as the movie goes. And even the topic I'm going to discuss with you now, I touched on it in that. But I really want to get in depth into it. And so instead of just giving you my thoughts on the movie, which, FYI, I loved it. I mean, there were minor quibbles, but overall, I thought it was fantastic, above and beyond all expectations. But what I want to talk to you is about my personal experience and how much it meant to me to see a certain character in the movie. Yes, we've talked about this before. I am autistic. I am on the spectrum. I have Asperger's. Whatever way you want to describe it, that's who I am. And it was very interesting for me when I heard a while ago that the Blue Ranger, Billy, was going to be portrayed as autistic. And I'm not one of those fans who cares about, oh no, why is Billy a black guy and why is Zach an Asian guy? Like, none of that matters. It really doesn't. All that matters is that characters are portrayed as realistic, believable, and they aren't belittled in any way, shape, or form. That's the biggest thing for me. And I did have the pleasure of talking to RJ Cyler, who plays Billy, a couple of times. I talked to him briefly on the red carpet before the movie premiere. I talked to him for a couple minutes during the after party. I explained to him my thoughts on his portrayal of the character and how accurate I thought he was, and I thought I did a great job. For those of you who don't know, Becky G, who plays Trini Yellow Ranger, her brother is autistic. And RJ used her brother as a template, basically to get some ideas for how to play the character and that sort of thing. And I think that by and large he was very faithful to that. And for me, the most impactful thing about Billy was actually in his introduction. This is going to be a brief story that I may have talked about it partially in the past in one of these other videos. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to go with the long form here in case I did touch on it before. Basically, Power Rangers came out in 1993. For me, I was 9 years old. And 9 is kind of at the tail end of the Power Rangers age range, so to speak, of like what people tend to deem as the appropriate age for a show like that. So even liking it for more than a year or two would have been suspect. And obviously, you're looking at me now. I'm 32 years old, almost 33, and I still love Power Rangers. So what do you have to think about that? But anyway, so fast forward to, I believe it was 7th or 8th grade. And I'm still in the Power Rangers quite a bit. At that point in time, I'm trying to think what would be on the air. I would guess like in space, maybe Lost Galaxy. So we were a ways into the franchise, so to speak. Now, I had a friend when I was younger. Best friend, had the same name as me, so that's going to tip you off right there a little bit. And for whatever reason, one day, it was after his birthday party, I believe it would be in 2nd or 3rd grade, he just stopped being friends with me. And I didn't know why. Like, it just seemed very weird to me. And it was very distressing for a young kid at that age. And the funny thing is that later in life, I became good friends with his older brother. And, we lost contact after high school, as you do. When you're my age, we didn't really have all the Facebook and the Twitter and whatever to really stay in contact with everybody. But when I did make contact with him again, he told me something interesting, which was kind of a gut punch to me, to be honest. He told me that his brother stopped being friends with me because at his birthday party, I gave him an original Red Ranger action figure in box, and which wouldn't have been it's hard to get back then, but you know what I'm trying to say. And his mother told him, like, I don't want you obsessed with that show. Stop being friends with him. And that would have been one thing. Like, that's devastating enough. Even as an adult to hear that, that crushed me. But the thing that crushed me more was that not only did he stop being my friend, he started being antagonistic to me. Like, he disliked me. It wasn't just I don't like you anymore. It's I actively dislike you. And, you know, for someone like me, especially with my mind, like, that's a lot to take in. And so we fast forward again to like 7th grade where I was telling you this story, and I'm in a math class, and we have to graph stuff. And we have to get all our colored pencils to graph stuff. And if you've seen the Power Rangers movie, you kind of know where I'm going with this. And I grabbed 5 colored pencils. Red, green, blue, yellow, and pink. Why those colors? Because Zeo. I loved Power Rangers Zeo. If you've watched any of my past videos, my countdown videos, you know how much I enjoy Zeo. And the funny thing is this kid noticed. Not only did he notice, but he made sure everybody in the class noticed. And he mocked me. And he laughed at me. And I had to sit there while the teacher calmed down the class and just hold back the tears, which I've never been very good at. So, fast forward to now, and the Power Rangers movie comes out. And the funny thing is I knew about this earlier. I had a handle on it because part of this was in the trailer. But you see Billy, the first time we're introduced to Billy, he's organizing his colored pencils on his desk to color in a map of Angel Grove that will be important later on in the movie. And a bully picks on him. I can't accurately explain to you how much that hurt me and how much pride at the same time I had. Just all the different gamut of emotions, like all of these different things welled up in me when I first saw that trailer. And then when I see the movie, they all came flooding back to me. We have a character, a superhero, that not only is being portrayed like me, but his first experience is very, very similar to one of my worst experiences. One of the most devastating things that ever happened to me. And I just, again, I told you, I'm at a loss for words. I can't possibly applaud the people involved in this movie enough. I mean, be it Haim Saban for approving of all of this, Dean Israelite for willing to go for it as a director, RJ Cyler for portraying the character so well, Becky G's brother for being an inspiration. Like, all of these people came together to make an autistic character that felt real. It wasn't like, haha, funny, we can kind of laugh along with you, but you're so absurd, like, say, Abed on Community, which I do love. Or it definitely wasn't insulting, laugh in your face, you're the butt of the joke, like most of the characters on that awful show Big Bang Theory. Like, this was an accurate portrayal of an autistic kid that genuinely connected to me in my heart. And again, I didn't need him to be a white kid. I didn't need any of that nonsense. I just needed a good actor portraying a good character. And that's what I got. As far as Billy as a whole goes, like, Billy's amazing to me in this movie because he has so many traits. And some of those traits are very familiar to me. Some of them aren't at all familiar to me, but I know of them. Because we say you're on the spectrum because it's a very wide, long line. Like, there could be 100 traits, and you could possess maybe 5 or 10 of them. And the person next to you could have the same thing as you, possess 5 or 10 traits, and none of them match up with your traits. Like, it's not uncommon for you to have shared experiences, but incredibly different experiences with people who have the same condition as you. And that's one of the most amazing, odd interesting things about autism just in general. Like, people look at me and they don't necessarily see someone who's autistic. They see somebody who can be quiet at times, who can be a little confused at times, who can be very, like, eyes forward, no distractions sometimes. Like, they can see those qualities in me. But sometimes they don't. They would never know I was autistic unless I told them. Some of the amazing things about Billy, I know, I just want to get back into this. Like, for example, he always has a very formal introduction. He always says, "I'm Billy Cranston." Kids used to call me Billy Cram's tongue because they say I used to cram a ton of crayons in my butt. Stuff like that. Like, it's a funny joke, but it's also saying Billy has a formal introduction because he's not good at interacting with people. He needs to do this in order for him to not stammer through everything. He needs to have this script in the back of his mind so that things can go a little bit easier for him. Another example, along the same lines, is with hugging. Jason hugs Billy when he's very excited early on in the movie, and Billy says, "Can you stop touching me now?" And then we come back later in the movie, and Jason hugs Billy again after an emotional moment, and it's fine. They just embrace. It's a very tender moment. It shows some character growth, but again, at the same time, it reminds you, Billy doesn't like to be touched because he's autistic. Personally, I don't have that as much as other people do, but I totally understand it, and sometimes I do have it. Sometimes it does become a thing for me. Billy, he says it himself. He says that, he doesn't necessarily always get humor or sarcasm. But he is very good with facts and figures and all these minutia in his head. He's fantastic at that. There are other qualities too that he doesn't necessarily have. Like, he doesn't seem to have the problem of looking people in the eye, which can be a huge, huge deal for someone like me. But he, on the other hand, he does have an internal monologue. That's always very interesting. Sometimes he voices it to himself, with his little muttering about his dad and his mom and all these different things. He imprints on people. Jason was the first person to be truly nice to him. So whenever something is going down and he's not sure about the situation, he always goes, "Jason, Jason, Jason, what's going on, Jason? Jason, you know me, Jason?" Like, he always repeats his name, and he's frantic with that because he feels a deep connection. It's not uncommon for an autistic person to make a very deep connection with someone they've known for a very short period of time very quickly. Like, Billy has stronger bonds with Jason and Kimberly because he knew them first, as opposed to Trini and Zach. But all this together, what also makes this so interesting is that RJ Cyler as Billy is the emotional center of this movie. A lot of the plot development revolves around Billy. A lot of the most emotional moments revolve around Billy. A lot of the funniest lines, again, delivered by Billy, not being made fun of. A lot of the funniest lines come from Billy. And that's the most amazing part. And we can talk about the other stuff as well. Like, the other big thing is the Trini character and the questioning her sexuality. I won't say lesbian, I'll say questioning her sexuality, because they presented it in an ambiguous way. And that's another amazing thing. I can't necessarily speak on it super well because, I am a straight white male, the majority of the majority of the majority in this country, I guess. But it's another amazing thing. Like, a lot of this buzz for this movie talks about the fact that these 5 kids are presented as virtually unknown actors, at least especially in America. 5 unknown actors coming together, and this is a 2-hour movie, and I would say about an hour and a half of it is mostly just them talking to each other, taking in their surroundings, becoming a team. Like, they carried this movie amazingly well, and they make you believe that they are 5 people that are from different walks of life that slowly but surely are forced to become a team and truly learn to like each other as a group, as individuals, as everything. And to have the autistic kid be the center of that, the part of me that is half my age now and sitting in that mobile unit, in that math class, and being laughed at by someone who used to be his best friend, that part of me cries out with joy to know that this franchise that I loved so long, so hard, is doing an amazing service, not just for the fans in general, but kind of for me specifically. And there's a funny footnote to this, and this might sound a little braggy, but the older brother that I became friends with, I saw him again a few weeks ago, and we were out at a bar, and we were just chilling, just talking. I was talking to him. I was talking to another one of his friends that is local where we were, that I'd never met before. And out of nowhere, this guy says to his friend, he points to me and he says, "What's so amazing about me is that I never," what's the way to say this? "I never was ashamed of who I was and what I liked." You know, I mean, I'm not a guy with delusions of grandeur. I have a very, very tiny YouTube channel with a couple hundred subscribers, and my videos are lucky to get a hundred or two views, each one of them. I'm on a Power Rangers podcast. I'm not the most prominent member of it, but I've been doing it for a dozen years now. And sometimes people do know who I am. And it shocks me. It shocks me every time someone comes up to me and says hi, or says that they like what I do, because, I'm not the most vocal person like some of my podcasting teammates. I'm not the type of person who puts myself out there. And I damn sure I'm not the type of person who thinks that the things that I say have a lot of value to them. But, I guess I've just always been an earnest person in that sense. And maybe that's part of my being on the spectrum, where I'm not good at making stuff up and pretending to be someone I'm not. So I always liked the things that I liked with gusto. And for my friend who I hadn't seen in years to just say, "You know what? It's amazing what you do. It's amazing that you're dedicated to this and you've seen the fruits of your labor." And then the next thing I know, it's a week later, I'm on a red carpet for the world premiere of Power Rangers, and I just feel validated. I feel validated in the things that I've done. Watching the movie makes me feel validated in who I am as a person. And that's the one thing I guess I would say to everybody to take home from this whole experience is, yeah, it's a dumb action superhero flick. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, there's no spandex, there's no rubber monsters, but it's still a silly superhero movie. But that doesn't mean that's all it has to be. If it speaks to you, if anything from any franchise like that, I don't care what it is. If you're talking about the Marvel movies, the DC movies, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, even other more obscure franchises, whatever it is, if it speaks to you, if it means something to you, if you can relate to it in your life, more power to you. That's an amazing, amazing thing. And to see Power Rangers do so well its first weekend, and to know that chances are very high we're going to get, a second movie, a third movie, who knows? Dean Israelite said he was planning 5 or 6 of them. You don't know. But to know that this franchise is strong again, at least in movie form, and in comic book form. We've talked about the show, not many people are fans of Ninja Steel. I'm definitely not one of them. But the franchise as a whole feels strong, and it feels validating. And like I said, doesn't matter if you're talking to me now, the 7th grader who got made fun of for his colored pencils, or the 2nd grader who went from having a best friend at a birthday party to having nobody the next day. That's powerful. That's amazing. And it makes me optimistic. It makes me proud. And I'm just ready for more. Thank you. Anyway, guys, I'm Jeremy. I go by Captain Subpar on YouTube. It's a dumb name. But this is going to be the 3rd video in my series, my Aspirations series. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to be back soon with some more videos, something a little more lighter. Back to some unboxing videos, some more Q Ranger stuff, some more Loot Crate stuff, all that good stuff. Keep saying stuff. Stop saying stuff. But please, if you like this video, please like it. Comment if you'd like to discuss this topic. I'm more than willing to have a dialogue. Please share this video with your friends and your family, anybody who you think might be able to maybe glean anything from my ramblings. And again, subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Ring the bell if you'd like to be notified of other videos. I'm saying these out of order for once. Sorry. But again, I'll be back very soon. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this video, to listen to me sit here in my bedroom and ramble. And I'll be back very soon. Thanks, guys.